Okay, welcome back to Command School 6. In this course, we're going to talk about securing and resetting after a church security team event. So incidents, whether minor or major, can shake a team and congregation if not handled properly. The point of this course is to teach that a well-trained church security team must not only secure the situation effectively, but also know how to reset emotionally, operationally, and spiritually so that the team can continue to serve in strength. So the five key concepts that we'll talk about for this course are, number one, how to stabilize the scene immediately and discreetly. Number two, how to coordinate clear command and communication. Number three, how to clear and restore the environment. Number four, how to debrief as a team, fast, focused, and honest. And number five, how to return to readiness through rotation and reset. So the first key concept that we'll talk about is how to stabilize the scene immediately and discreetly. With the key concept being that control and containment must come swiftly, quietly, and without panic if able. So what this kind of means is that you're likely to expect or experience different scenarios within a church. Not all of them need to be major panics or affect the congregation entirely. Some of them can be handled discreetly and quickly, while other ones require obviously more attention. The point is, if you can handle it discreetly, you should. Some of the action steps for this would be to train in verbal de-escalation, positioning, and how to contain without confrontation. So that could be like speaking, if there's like a disturbance in the main lobby, speaking and separating them from the rest of the church so that the disagreement can be reviewed and corrected without disrupting the entire service. The second action step could be or is to practice quiet intervention scenarios during team drills. And then finally, the last action step would be to assign predefined roles for incident response, such as the primary contact, a backup, or a communicator. So the second key concept that we'll talk about for this course is to coordinate clear command and communication, with the point being that the chain of command should be followed and communication must be kept concise and clear. So an example of this is if there's a medical emergency going on within the church, the communicator might report to the team leader, hey, code yellow, middle aisle, adult male unresponsive, SAM responding, EMT has been notified. That's a clear and concise relay of communication to the team leader that will give him an accurate depiction of what's occurring, what's been done, and if any backup is needed. From there, he can kind of make a decision based off that information on his own of how to handle the said situation. So the action steps for this key concept would be to reinforce radio discipline with code words and brief check-ins. Designate one person to lead per incident in an effort to avoid dual leadership. And then finally, practice incident role drills where each member fills a distinct function within the scenario.
Well, even in that medical scenario, it brings it back to, working discreetly and things like that. There's medical situations, try to contain that situation so that way it's not disturbing the whole service potentially. Also try to maintain their dignity. So potentially sometimes you might have to, cover them up, things like that. So, all these concepts all work symbiotically together. So, even in that scenario where you're giving clear communication, one of those things might be for someone to come over there, maybe cover them with a blanket, things like that, because they may be exposed and, de-escalate and bring dignity to that situation. So
the third key concept we'll talk about is how to clear and restore the environment, with the main key concept being that the scene must be returned to normal physically, emotionally, and logistically. So this could look like if a disruptive guest needed to be removed from the church, the team afterwards would ensure that nothing weird happened, like any exits were propped open or left open. Just ensure that the children's hallway is resealed and the pastor has been briefed on the situation. That's a good way to kind of clear that environment and get ready to move on with the congregation. So the action steps that should be taken for this are to assign one person that role of sweeping and resetting the area, whether that be checking doors, closing windows, making sure the camera's all working, stuff like that. Second action step would be to establish those SOPs for how to report things to the pastoral staff. Maybe those things needed to be reported immediately as they occur, or maybe there's some situations that can be reported after the service has concluded. And then finally, the last action step would be to always ensure the volunteers or guests affected by the event are cared for. If there's other people that maybe witnessed the incident or something like that, do a check on them. If it's not the security team's role to kind of do that, make sure that the pastor or the staff is aware that these people were impacted by the situation and could maybe use some follow-up afterwards just to ensure that everything is okay. So the fourth key concept that we'll talk about is how to debrief as a team, fast, focused, and honest. The key concept being that debriefing allows the team to learn, recover, and realign quickly. So your debrief with the team needs to be brutally honest. If certain people handled this situation well, that should absolutely be praised. But the main point is to kind of find those mistakes that were made and find a way to fix them, whether that be through SOP refinement or just through more practice as a team or whatever. You want to identify those mistakes and gaps and then fix them appropriately.
It's not the time for emotions or egos to really get involved at all. This is an opportunity to really not only reflect as a team, self-reflect, but also reflect individually on ways you can improve. You're getting feedback from your teammates, which hopefully you have great respect for. It's just an opportunity to kind of refine and improve. Because ultimately, again, this is a ministry of security, and you're trying to provide the best security you can.
So some of the action steps that you could use for this key concept are to just develop and use that consistent debrief template after every incident. I know in the reconnaissance community, and it was probably similar for you, our debriefs would be from the planning phase through the operational phase to the debrief phase. We would talk about the entirety of the mission in order of the timeline of it. So if things weren't going well, or if we didn't properly plan our mission, that comes up in the debrief. And then obviously in the execution, if something went wrong.
In this scenario, it'd probably be from the pre-service events all the way through, what took place and how you recovered that area after the event. So you're looking at the full scope, because it also identifies opportunities for training. Identifies opportunities to change an SOP potentially, or it might identify even within a person that, hey, maybe I'm not cut out for this, and I don't feel I want to be on this team anymore, and that's okay too. So
the second action step for this would be to have one person kind of designated as the note taker. It's easy to talk about a lot of things. If you don't log those things or write them down or type them up, they're easy to get lost in translation. So you want to have a designated note taker that can basically have the proof of the debrief, and then you can reflect on it later and adapt it into your SOPs.
And like you mentioned, it's time to be brutally honest, but it's also not a time to kind of beat up or really like pick on anyone either. It's constructive criticism, right? So it's where did we go wrong? What did we do right? But it's not an opportunity to be like Adam did this, Adam did that. It's not an opportunity to kind of pick on any one individual. That's not what this debrief is really about.
So the fifth key concept is to return to readiness through rotation and reset, with the key concept being resilience is rebuilt with intentional rest, rotation, and spiritual reset.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we even have, whether it's your conventional military force, conventional army, you're not constantly deployed for 20 years at war, right? You have an opportunity to rotate back, train up, you rest, you relax, get kind of reset, and then get ready for the next op or deployment. So every unit does it different, every group does it different. So we recommend, hopefully you have enough volunteers for the security team that you can kind of rotate people. What we do at ours is everyone gets a quarter off. So you'll serve so many months per year, but basically you get a full quarter where you're not really having to serve at all, and it's just a nice way to reset and kind of take a break. So
if you're on the security team, you're likely to be involved in some incidents that can be emotionally or spiritually or physically tough and tough to overcome. So it's kind of up to leaders to monitor team members and make sure that everyone is okay after incidents and stuff like that. Maybe like a child custody battle really gets to somebody because they experienced something similar, whatever like that. Leaders need to be in tune with their team and aware that the incidents that they experience can have an impact on them. And as Mike stated earlier, another great action step is kind of to build in those recovery rotations into your SOPs, whether it be every quarter or you get a quarter off once a year or whatever, something like that, just to make sure that your team is rested and ready to go